Hello there. Fans of R. Kelly will find this edition particularly interesting and maybe a little bit worrying. Certainly, we all remember that in September he was convicted on 9 charges of sexual assault, sexual trafficking, rape, and similar charges. He is currently being held in jail, of course, pending sentencing, which will take place in May 2022. He faces the very real possibility of spending the rest of his life in jail. Of course, I expect him to, get his lawyers together, put up a good defense, and go for an appeal, and possibly head all the way to the Supreme Court. That's how things would go in Nigeria. I'm expecting that the same thing would possibly happen with such a very high-profile personality, although he's claiming bankruptcy. R. Kelly is currently, his net worth is currently negative $2 million, which suggests that he is in debt to the tune of $2 million. This is a man who, at his peak, was worth $100 million at least. Now, he was recently taken off suicide watch. Nothing has been said about if he was actually suicidal or if they were just following due protocol. But it just came out yesterday that he has just been taken off suicide watch. Before that news came out yesterday, I had watched a TikTok where a young black man had expressed certain concerns around the R. Kelly situation. He said that there are rumors going around that R. Kelly is planning to snitch on a number of other very high-profile celebrities and personalities who have had a similar profile to him and who are currently hanging loose. They're free, nobody's talking about them, nobody knows about them. But his story happens to be out there, so now he's in trouble. And rumors have it that he's seriously considering trading in that information. It might, gain him some leverage with the justice system, but it will definitely put other people in trouble if he has proof that these things happened. And usually that's not a very good place to be. So let's watch this TikTok.
So allegedly, R. Kelly, since being found guilty, is about to start snitching on a bunch of other powerful and famous and rich people, and the fact that they are monsters. And I feel like we should all know what comes next. So let's go ahead and nip that shit in the bud now before it happens. R. Kelly did not kill himself. R. Kelly was not killed by some random inmate. R. Kelly did not die of natural causes. Now save this video and come back to it after they kill R. Kelly. I'm definitely going to be following this one because this is going to get interesting. So follow me for more.
Sorry about the audio quality on that. You can look for it yourself if you're on TikTok. Even if you're not on TikTok, just check the app, look for at who is Dose, and look through his videos and you'll find it. I think that's his most recent. I saw that video about a week ago and quickly recorded it because I wanted to keep it handy just in case anything around what he's saying comes to pass. In his video, he is saying that usually when you start hearing that somebody is about to snitch on the really high and mighty, within a short while, that person who is usually in jail at the time comes to harm, usually the fatal kind of harm. They might come to their death through suicide, they might get murdered by another inmate, and so on and so forth. Those are the concerns he's expressing. And I'm not usually a huge fan of conspiracy theories. I find that quite a number of them can be baseless, but this one intrigued me, and for very good reason. Jeffrey Epstein is not a name that will resonate with us here much. But in the US, the man was a big deal. I use his name in the past tense because he is dead now. He died under very mysterious circumstances while he was in jail, awaiting trial. Jeffrey Epstein also had a case that was very, very similar to what we currently have going with R. Kelly. Now, who is Jeffrey Epstein? So, he was an American financier and multi-millionaire with ties to some of the wealthiest and most powerful men in the world. He was arrested in July 2019 for crimes similar to those r.Kelly is currently convicted of, namely sex trafficking, sexual abuse of dozens of young ladies, most of them underage, and of course, rape. Some of these young ladies were as young as 13. Epstein was being held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York when he suddenly died in what has since been ruled a suicide. Epstein would have faced up to 45 years in prison if convicted. It is important to note that Epstein had a number of powerful friends who would regularly visit him at his mansion and participate in these acts as well. His death, even if truly a suicide, certainly serves to protect their identities and their interests. Additionally, on the 23rd of July 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found with a strip of bedsheet around his neck. Authorities promptly accused him of attempting suicide despite his protestations that his cellmate, a convicted murderer, had attempted to kill him. Epstein was subsequently placed on suicide watch. Interestingly, he was taken off barely a week later and found dead the very next day on the 10th of August 2019. Autopsies carried out by the authorities and by his family have given conflicting results. The night of his death, CCTV cameras on that floor were not working. He did not have a cellmate, though he was meant to have one, and the prison guards were all asleep. Recall that, like R. Kelly, he was also on suicide watch for a time. He got taken off suicide watch, and then he died. In R. Kelly's case also, he has been on suicide watch. He has currently been taken off it. And well, sentencing is still scheduled for May 2022. Of course, he's already been convicted, of course. So it's just left for the justice system to decide how much time they want to give him to cool his heels in prison. For those of you who might be encountering the whole R. Kelly thing for the first time, I'll just give you a quick refresher. Over the years, for those who have been R. Kelly fans, those who remember his, relationship with Aaliyah, a young lady who was up and coming in the music industry, also a United States citizen. She died in very unpleasant circumstances. She died in a plane crash. But that's not what we're talking about now. It's the link that was between her and R. Kelly when he was already a full-grown, mature adult, and she was just, I think, barely 14 or 15. He went ahead and was in a sexual relationship with her. And when that came out, he quickly married her. And that, of course, meant that she would not be able to testify against him in court if the matter ever went to court. It died down, it went underground, it disappeared. And then a few years after that, there were videos emerged of him sexually abusing a very young girl. The videos were all over the place, and this was before, the advent of mobile phones. This was when you had to actually get yourself a digital camera to document things like this. So it's not like he had a camera handy and then he did so. No, he had to go out of his way to set up lights and everything and do that. That video came out. Somehow, the matter went to court. It somehow got buried again. But, these rumors and ugly stories have always surrounded R. Kelly. So it's nothing new. And this whole sexual assault, sexual abuse and things like this, they're not things that are limited to people in the entertainment industry, the high and mighty alone. It's not an America thing. It's something that is a global issue. It's something that is a global concern. If you have a daughter who is mature enough to leave the house, and she sometimes they even go for the prepubescent ones. almost every female, almost every young lady will have been touched the wrong way by one male or another before she hits full maturity. These things happen in schools, they happen at our places of worship, they sometimes happen at home, they happen in public places, they happen in public transportation, they happen in the market. So it's almost as if quite a good number of men feel they have a right to touch any female, they encounter at the wrong time in the wrong place in any way they like. And that has been the story of the world for a while. It's just that with the advent of, should I say, I think this is the fourth wave of feminism, or let's just call it modern day feminism, the West has gotten more serious about tackling issues like that. And that has taken down quite a large number of very high profile men. Another person that readily comes to mind is Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby had any number of middle-aged women suddenly come out, large number of them, they came out in their tens to accuse him of any number of sexual assaults back in his heyday when he was still Cosby. We knew him with the Cosby Show. He was the father everybody wished they had, at least on TV. We didn't know that he was actually a creepy old sod. And then now R. Kelly. Now, fans of R. Kelly actually took issue with me with the last story I did on him, where I didn't offer up any sympathy. I don't have sympathy for, I'm a woman, I know how it feels to be put in a position where your body is being touched by somebody it happens in the market. Till date, I don't like going to the market. This open, normal, regular market, it happens there. A trader will grab your breast because he says he's trying to call you to come and look at his goods. Till date, I don't like going to the market. And one day I was trying to figure out why. And I realized that it comes from some latent trauma associated with constantly being grabbed as a younger lady whenever I would go to the market. Back when I would use Okada, as a younger lady, sometimes you'd be forced to share a bike with another man, with a man, two or three of you on a bike, maybe because you're in a remote area and there are a few bikes around. So you're forced to share. And if you happen to be wedged between two men, it's always an unpleasant encounter. Back when you would have very long queues in the banks, if you're wedged between two men or you have a man behind you, it would always be an unpleasant encounter. So it is not something I'm willing to go, yeah, when somebody has been convicted about, By that same token, I do not think that Kelly deserves death by any weird circumstances. I really hope whatever it was that happened to Jeffrey Epstein does not replicate itself in his own case. That thought came into my mind as a result of that TikTok and reading up about Jeffrey Epstein's case. I'm hoping that in R. Kelly's case, because this whole thing about him wanting to snitch is still rumors. Oh, why am I talking to you about rumors? Well, that's how, for us journalists, that's how we get, that's how we get our leads. We follow the smoke to where the fire is. So for now, it's just rumors, but most rumors usually are tied around something that's real. Sometimes they're just embellished, and then once in a while they're completely baseless. R. Kelly also happens to be a father of three. His oldest is a daughter who's about 23 years old, which, that's so ironic. You would hope that a man who has a grown daughter or who has seen his children's faces would be less inclined to such proclivities. But apparently, what's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander. These are the kinds of people who live by a set of rules that suggests that what is good for their kids is not good for everybody else. 9 out of 10 times where there is smoke, if you investigate thoroughly, you'll find a fire. Let's just hope that there is no fire in this case and that R. Kelly doesn't get burned.